Season 4 might save Modern Warfare 2. And the reason I say this is because Season 4 is really the culmination of Activision's goal at fixing Modern Warfare 2, at bringing players back to the game. This has been the really big, hard turning point for where the game will either be a make or break as far as what its future lies. Not only is Call of Duty introducing a brand new Warzone map, brand new multiplayer maps, 5 new operators, and a ton of new weapons, but they're also building a narrative story for the first time we've seen in the Modern Warfare 2 seasons. This narrative story is actually pretty interesting. There's a 2-minute cutscene that actually explains what's happening, and on top of that, one of the characters who's kind of central to this is Nikto. Nikto is one of the main operators we locked in Modern Warfare 2019. As a matter of fact, he was unlocked in the very first season, so a lot of people grew attached to him. But on top of this, he has a very interesting story narratively, and he narratively ties into Season 4 in a big way. He's the one responsible for the assault on Vondel. And I'll talk about that more here in a second, but the next operator I want to talk about is Io. Io is the deadly female counterpart to Adam. She's going to be the new Black Cell operator we get in Season 4, and she's actually pretty cool. She has a brand new skin that's going to change from gold to silver, whereas Adam's changed from black to gold, and she has a smoke effect around her body that'll actually increase based on the number of kills you get while playing as her operator. And moving on to the next operator, this character looks like they were pulled straight out of Cyberpunk 2077, Izanami. She's a new operator we really don't have any information on yet, but she's really cool looking and reminds me a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 and kind of gives me those anime vibes. The next operator I want to talk about is actually a leaked operator who I'm going to give you the inside scoop on. The character's name is Butch, and one thing we know about this character is that they actually have a very deep tie to the show The Boys as part of a crossover bundle coming to Modern Warfare 2 Season 4. If the name is Butch, and it's a boys bundle, it likely means that the character is going to be Billy Butcher coming in Modern Warfare 2 Season 4. And if that's the case, I'm almost assured that he's going to have some awesome finishing move that we're going to see in Modern Warfare 2. So I'm highly excited to see this bundle come out. And the last operator I want to talk about is Vega. She's really not that much of an interesting operator, but she is one of the main title operators for Season 4. And on top of that, her backstory is actually kind of unique. Both of her parents tried to establish aid in the early days of the Resurgence conflict and actually got killed in the crossfire between Resurgence rebels and Russian forces. This means she's likely very deeply tied to the Resurgence conflict and might play a role into what the narrative story is going on there. But moving on to the narrative story of Season 4, it's actually quite interesting. A Russian oligarch in Vondel hired a Russian PMC group to come in and defend the city of Vondel from an unknown attack. Little did the oligarch know that the attack was actually coming from inside her own ranks from the PMC themselves. They used a chemical attack against the city of Vondel, and on top of that, knowing that it's a Russian PMC who used a chemical attack, it was likely Makarov carrying out a chemical gas attack using the Russian gas from Modern Warfare 2019. But because of this, Russia has sent in their own troops to help kind of clear up the conflict and get the Russian PMCs out of Vondel. So they sent in Nikto, and Nikto has started an assault on Vondel. Vondel is currently held by this private military company, and Nikto wants to get in, get the PMCs out, and kill everybody in the process and destroy everything he can that proves that the Russians were involved. But these are not the only two parties fighting inside Vondel. There's actually a third part, the Allied forces under the name of Spec Group. They're actually involved in this conflict as well. They're sending in troops to try to help resolve the issue, but realistically, they're just going to cause more problems than they actually solve. So this narrative story that Season 4 is building will be very, very interesting, and I hope it's going to build into a more interesting story as we get to Season 4 Reloaded. Moving on though, the new map, Vondel Park itself, is quite awesome. There's a bunch of new things about this map that I'm highly excited for. First off, with the narrative story of Season 4, Call of Duty wants you to learn the map Vondel pretty well. So one of the things they're introducing is a brand new game mode called Lockdown in Vondel. Basically, the city will be cordoned off into sections and you'll have to play it like Domination. After you capture a section, you'll get points for it, but one thing to keep in mind is that there's only going to be 6 teams and 4 players per team, so making sure you play strategically and try to hold as many zones as possible and try to win as many gunfights as possible will be most important for success in Vondel. But making this entire thing harder is a brand new dynamic fog being introduced for Vondel. The fog will show up randomly. It might show up 5 games in a row, it might not show up at all for 5 games, and when it does show up, it will not show up in the same spot or with the same amount of coverage across the map. It is dynamic, meaning it will change in timing, it will change in size, and it'll change in volume. And one of the things that we know about this is that it actually will limit your visibility to 25 to 50 meters. So if you want to see further than that, you're going to need to use a thermal optic to peer through the fog and see enemies coming at you from the distance. And with Vondel being a Resurgence map specifically, Call of Duty is introducing a brand new Resurgence change that was much needed, a Resurgence dynamic timer. What this basically means is that if you're playing a game of quads and one of your teammates drops out due to bad internet connection or decides to leave the game, your in-game timer for Resurgence will actually decrease to help kind of alleviate the problem of not having that teammate. It was a much needed change and I'm happy Call of Duty has introduced it. And the last thing that Vondel is introducing is a brand new field upgrade called the Redeployment Flare. This is basically a flare gun you shoot straight up in the air that will randomly pick one of your teammates that come back if they're dead. So if you're playing a battle royale game mode and you pick this up, you'll randomly get a teammate back as long as you shoot it up in the sky. This is a great thing, however, you don't pick which teammate it is, so you might end up getting your worst teammate back instead of your best teammate. So be prepared for a new level of random chaos with this field upgrade. But one of the other things that people are kind of interested in knowing is that there's a ton of changes coming to DMZ this season that are going to completely change the way DMZ runs. It's going to make it a lot more like Escape from Tarkov, and it's going to make it play a lot better overall. And the first thing I want to talk about is the forward operating base. It's a new central hub for DMZ. You can complete missions and objectives here, you can unlock new season-long upgrades, and on top of this, it's basically like the hideout from Escape from Tarkov. So the very first thing you're going to unlock is the weapons locker. The weapons locker will have different things you can upgrade. The first thing you can upgrade is insured weapon slots. You can actually increase the amount of insured weapon slots you have in DMZ, but on top of that, you can also upgrade your weapons locker so it decreases the amount of time between when you get insured weapons. Meaning you can drop it down from 2 hours to 1 hour or 2 hours to 30 minutes. So every time you lose a weapon in DMZ, you can pick up that same weapon again 30 minutes later as long as it's insured. On top of this, we're getting a brand new contraband weapon storage, meaning that you won't only have a couple slots for your contraband, you can actually store a lot more contraband things like the M13 from season 1 or whatever other contraband you want to store. And on top of this, you can also upgrade what's called your stash. Your stash is broken down into two parts. The first part is your wallet. The wallet allows for off-game storage of cash, meaning you can store cash on hand and hold on to it so that way you can go back into DMZ and spend it if you need funds right off the bat to buy a weapon or such, or you need to buy certain parts for a build that you're trying to do. And the second part is you have your contraband storage and your key storage. You can actually increase the amount of storage you have for your keys and your contraband in Modern Warfare 2 in DMZ by upgrading these slots. Now, one thing to note is that you can't unlock these spaces until you complete missions. So I highly recommend you complete the missions first and then upgrade them as soon as you can afterwards. And the last thing is a bounty board. The bounty board is a new upgradable space where you'll unlock specific missions for the day of or week of. These will pertain to you specifically, and it'll help increase your reputation among the different groups in DMZ and all the different factions. So one of the things you'll get is a personal exfil. It's one of the last things you unlock, but you'll get a personal exfil which allows you to exfil from any time at DMZ, but you can only use it once every 24 to 48 hours. Meaning that you're going to get yourself out, but you won't get your teammates out, and this is kind of an emergency I need to get the hell out of here moment. The next thing you unlock is a barter recipes cookbook. What this cookbook actually means is that once you learn a recipe in DMZ, you'll have it saved to your cookbook in your fob, and you'll actually be able to look at different recipes that you don't know yet or haven't unlocked yet and figure out what you need to do to unlock them, or figure out what certain combinations you have of secret recipes that you won't actually find in DMZ until you unlock them in your fob. DMZ has steadily been improving every single season, and it's going to improve a lot more this season. It's turning into Escape from Tarkov, but with Call of Duty's unique twist on it. And it's something that's going to be a very big game mode, and I actually like playing it. I like sitting there and grinding out DMZ missions in one day and trying to get as far as I can before taking a couple days break and doing the same thing again. So I'm going to be playing DMZ a bunch when the new upgrades come out. But the very last thing I want to talk about is kind of the most important thing coming in Season 4, the new weapons. The new weapons we're getting in Season 4 are the Tempest Razorback, which is a brand new 5.56 bullpup based off the real-life Springfield Helion rifle, the ISO 45 based off of the APC 45. It's going to be a great new submachine gun chambered in the most American caliber ever made, 45 ACP. So I highly recommend you check it out and see how good it is in season. And the very last thing is the Tonfa. The Tonfa are a brand new kind of security baton that you can run around and smack people with, but one of the things the game says is that they're studded with metal ends so they'll actually do more damage. I'm curious to see how these actually play out, if they're going to be like Cali 6 from Modern Warfare 2019, or they're going to be a lot slower than we expected and kind of do nothing. But overall, I'm excited to see all these changes in Season 4. It looks like it's going to be a huge improvement to the game, so tell me your thoughts down below. Do you think Season 4 is going to save Modern Warfare 2? And until next time, I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.